Because the first, it's about the first scenario, contain the economy impending collapse. I don't know how realistic is this scenario, but if it's about the freedom to use technology and the internet, well, the question is, do you think that is convenient to impose limits? Well, it's kind of a probably a rhetoric question. I don't think there is any purpose, any reason to limit e-commerce. Why should we limit? I mean, it's just another distribution channel, and at the moment, there are many people that are purchasing several items, goods and services through the internet. The only thing is that you have to be clear how to manage the transactions from mostly the fiscal or taxation point of view. For example, now we have a problem regarding Amazon, regarding Google, as to where they should pay the taxes, considering that they have established their branch offices and subsidiaries outside Italy. But most of the trade they carry on is with large countries like Italy, France, and so on. And they are established in other countries and they pay taxes there because they have low taxes to pay there. So I think that this could become a problem. But beyond this, I don't see any point in limiting the e-commerce. I think that the technology is there to manage transactions in a very secure way, because you have, payment methods like PayPal, like several others that potentially, some people they fear that there is kind of a sort of risk in terms of privacy, but we know that this is happening all the time, and also for when we use the mobile phones, not only the internet. So I don't know whether this is enough from your expectation for question number one.
Yeah, and actually it was really interesting because like in my country we don't have this problem of like taxation and Amazon because it's not very popular right now. So like it was interesting to hear that. So
you know what? There are other examples that make us reflect. For example, the Hungarian government has just set a tax on internet. They are charging families, individuals in Hungary for how much they are navigating the web, the internet, and making use of the gigabytes available for downloading, which is a sort of limitation of internet. It's not affecting not only the e-commerce, but in general the freedom to acquire information, to download, and so on. But this is for what reasons? Because they need money, and so they want to extract the money, squeeze the money from the citizens, also from areas that have not yet been so much subject to taxation like internet. The question number two, internet and logistics. Well, traceability. Every time I buy something on the internet, and I buy everywhere. I buy even from China. I buy from Hong Kong, from the United States, from Holland. I am very pleased I can, once the goods have left the place of my supplier, I can trace the parcel all along the road towards my home. And so traceability is something that is really important. One other thing is that I have friends of mine that are working in the e-procurement industry, where you can basically buy every kind of service through the web. For example, transportation services. You can set up auctions on transportation services where you have someone that is selling transportation capacity and you are looking for someone that is buying transportation capacity. And the more the operators converging on the same market platform, the more efficient this market can become. And we have big players like, for example, Alibaba, that is doing this for services and for goods. And then you have specialized operators. So I see a lot of potential for logistics in the use of internet and in general of information technologies.
Okay, you want to continue to the third question?
Okay, second scenario, mega efficiency and mega cities. Life in rural areas. Interesting. Well, I can provide you with an example. Perhaps we can discuss it in the classroom. But the example is the example of General Electric with scanners for echography. China, for example. China is a very urbanized country where you have most of the people living in urban areas. But you have also several people who are still working and living in the rural areas that are very far from the cities. What do you do if you have someone that is ill or is suffering or patient that cannot move, cannot reach the nearest hospital? Well, in the case you have very, very heavy machinery, it may be very difficult for you to, as a physician, to take the machinery and to go and reach this patient. But if instead you have an echo scanner that is small enough that you can carry on your back, then you can do this. You can take your plane, you can take your car and go in the house of the patient, of the people suffering, and try to come up with a diagnosis. So this is working already, and but of course, and this is about logistics as well. It's about innovation of product, but also about logistics. How far is this place in terms of hours to reach this? Yes, I think this is something we have to consider, because otherwise, we are generating a future where there is some sort of dualism. People that is living in the cities that have access to everything, and people that are not living in cities where they cannot access even they don't even have signal for mobile phones. So of course we have to manage this, and I think that business and logistics can be affected, but it can also be part of the solution, because logistics can be part of the solution. If in the future the trend is to have unimpersonal companies, but this may produce a saturation of the market, do you think that it will be possible for the majority of the population to have its own business and be profitable and competitive? Will logistics and the internet play an important role in their strategy? I think this is a very, very general question. Perhaps it's about the question whether there is let's say, a human size for a company. Could a big corporation be considered right for serving the needs of individuals, or should we instead expect more and more small enterprises? Well, I'm not so romantic in this respect. I think that, companies, they must be, first of all, efficient. They have to have low costs so that we can pay the right prices for what we buy from them. Then, of course, we know that companies, they should not be as big as to become the monopolists in the market. But this is something that, you know, the authorities are taking care of. So, I don't think how the future will look like, but I'm pretty much sure that there will still be small companies, and probably the small companies will be those companies that are in the startup process. So they will eventually probably become bigger, just because being bigger means being more efficient. I think that anyway, for example, as regards logistics, the existence of third-party logistic providers like DHL, FedEx, and so on is good also for small businesses, because it's opening them also the possibility to benefit from such services at convenient prices without having to invest in logistic systems. So it's good also for small businesses.